Well,
Hello.
hello.
Welcome to yet another Destiny's Dispatch. Today, Dean will talk stealth,
I will.
Vicky will roll some dice, and you can guarantee I'll press the wrong buttons at some point. So, first thing I'd like to do is to say welcome. So, we've got Cam. Thank you very much. We have got Michael. Hello. Savage Brewski.
Welcome.
Hey, welcome. Then a loads of me waffling.
And then
We
Jeffrem
got
Danker.
Jeffrem.
Yes.
Yes.
It was all lonely on Rumble,
Fantastic.
was it? Yes, I bought graphs, charts, stuff like that.
He did. He loves his graphs and charts.
I do.
So we're going to kick off with stealth, and you talking about stealth, using your graphs to explain around the dice around stealth, and then if I'm lucky, I might even get to roll some dice.
I think you will. So what we will do, hopefully, there we go.
Hey,
So
that buttons.
this is the graph I promised, which shows the statistical probability of rolling a 20 or higher using an attribute modifier below and rolling the number of d20s as per your skill and whether you have a focus dice. And the one thing I love about this is where you're rolling one dice, it's a fairly flat curve. It's 5% each step. The moment you add two dice, you have this lovely sort of, it goes up quite a bit and then it begins to taper towards the top end. So you don't have, it's this weird thing where you've got an attribute of +5, 30% chance of making a skill. You become an expert and have two dice, all of a sudden you're up to 50%. It's a big jump. But then you add a third dice, it's not that big a jump. You add a fourth dice, it's a little bit of a jump. So it does this lovely thing with the percentages. You then have things like your boons and banes. And if you have a boon, you're kind of shifting your attribute up by potentially 3 for the d6, up to 5 to 10 for the d10. So you get this lovely sort of expanding upwards, expanding downwards with the boons and banes, which alter your percentages. It's, in my view, I think it's a lovely granular system that really does this lovely percentage thing in the background that I've seen on games like Rollmaster and stuff like that, but without the complicated maths of adding percentages or taking them away and doing all of that. So there we go. That is the graph I promised.
Look at that. You asked and we delivered. So, are we ditching dice for charts now? Hello, Paladin Steve. So, are we ditching dice for charts now? How will this affect the beans and banes? And are you still calling this a multi D20 system? Yes.
Yes, it is.
Are we ditching? No, we're never ditching dice. Never.
No.
Never.
And
See,
the chart, this is all hidden, but by popular request, people asked to see the kind of maths behind the scenes in a graph form. This is it. This is what it kind of looks like. But the way we've designed it, that D20, the boons and banes, that's it. It keeps all of this hidden away, and all you do is you're looking at your dice, you're rolling, you're hoping, you're praying, you get excited when you get a big roll, you get really upset when a lot of dice come back with low rolls. It's all part of that roller coaster of role playing around the table.
what's tonight about, Dean? It's all
So,
about stealth mechanics. So you're going to put away your charts for now.
I am going to put away my charts for now.
He does get excited about his charts.
I do. So I don't think we're going to talk stealth before I show anything else, I think. So
you've cast my dice tray off.
Yeah, we'll bring it back. We will bring it back in a bit. But for now, I want to talk about stealth in that I've always considered stealth to be more of a tense affair, or rather it should be. It should be something that is kind of told out during the game. And unfortunately, one of the things with having stealth skills and stuff like that is you can tend to, especially around the table, you're describing, okay, how are you going to sneak past the guards? And players are picking up dice and rolling and going, oh, I got a stealth of this, or I got a stealth of that. And it kind of begins to take away from from the element of stealthing. And what I've always tried to do is put the role play of stealth first before we make any rolls. And I think, Vicky, you can talk about that. Oh, hi there, Filthy. It's nice to have you. I don't think we've seen you on here before, so welcome.
Yes, welcome. Yes,
Creeps
I
and
know.
Crypt.
I know.
Oh, yes, I know that. Welcome. It's good to have you here. So, Vicky, you can attest for this. Whenever you've done stealth around my table, I've always tried to build a story, haven't I?
You've always built a story, and I'm going to use example. Which one was the one where Owen fell off the flying castle?
Oh, yes. So that we were doing Tyranny of Dragons.
Tyranny of Dragons, that's right.
Skyreach Castle, was it?
Yeah, that's the one.
And you were trying to...
We had to sneak past.
Yes, you were trying to sneak in.
So, of course, this was D&D days, and Dino has always played it, even if the sort of rule system we were using, we always had to make an effort for stealth. It wasn't just a dice roll, you've either done it or you don't. You know, we used to do stuff, we used to pad our armor, we used to do all sorts of things, and the whole point of it was common sense. So if you were trying to walk down the middle of a corridor straight past some guards and it was bright daylight, no, that wasn't going to work.
We can send Paladin Steve into the corner now with the dunce cap, because that was a terrible pun, Steve. Terrible.
Oh, did I miss a good pun?
You did.
We got to show it.
It's an old pun, but it checks out.
Yeah, can you stop giving him dad jokes, you guys, right? He doesn't need them. I have enough of it.
So yes, if you, regardless of your stealth skill when we were doing D&D, if you walked in front of a guard who was looking in your direction, I didn't even let you roll. It was like the guard sees you, job done. And for some players, that was a little bit of a, oh, but I got a really good stealth. I'm an expert. I got this big. So given the opportunity to really have a look at stealth, I decided to put the role play front and center. Anybody can sneak. It's as simple as that. Yes, you might have specialist training to sneak a bit better, but that got rolled into the way rogues have tools to help them stealth better than other people. So hang on, we just got...
Let me see the fact, Dean.
Yeah.
You've
done it.
Doing stuff.
Brilliant. Right. I'm going to focus. So I'm going to bring up...
Focus.
Okay. Ignore the chart. The chart is about to change. 2. So this is one of the rare tables we have within our system. And what this table says is, given your size and whether there's any cover or whether it's clear, how close can you get to someone before they can spot you? And they automatically see you if they happen to be looking in your direction. So you're a medium-sized person. It's a very clear day. You can be spotted about 2 miles away unless you're trying to hide behind stuff or go through bushes or you're hidden by trees. So it's a very common sense approach. The way this works when you get a lot closer is you'll have things like cover. So you're hiding behind walls and stuff like that. So you can actually get quite close. It's all about not being seen. So this encourages, and as a GM, I can really build atmosphere describing what the guards are doing, the player waiting for those guards to look away. One of them might look away, the other one might be looking towards them before they can dart across that corridor, or becoming creative and creating diversions, things that will make the guards look elsewhere before they dart across. So when it comes to being seen, it's a very common sense approach. If you're in the open, a guard can see you. If you're not, if you're hidden, a guard won't see you. But if you do something stupid to make yourself potentially visible, then like casting a spell, the guards may get an awareness saving throw or they may automatically see you. So this is about building tension. I don't want dice rolls to get in the way of you coming up with a very clever plan, having diversions, having distractions, and sneaking into a complex. And this works for everybody in the party. So that's been seen. We have a second chart, which is all about being heard. And you will notice the first thing, if you're in heavy armor, forget it. You're not stealthing. You can be heard up to 200 feet away on a still night. If there's sound around you, you can get a lot closer. So stealthing in a very loud area, say, next to a waterfall, you got water cascading, you got a lot of noise. Yeah, your arm is not going to be picked up. The noise of the waterfall will supersede it. Otherwise, you might not be seen, but you might get close enough to a guard for the guard to hear your armor clinking, chanking, something different. And at that point, they might be alerted. They might have an awareness saving throw, or they might get up and investigate. So this was our approach to stealth. Make it very story driven. Try and get rid of the dice, with the exception of rogues. And we'll go into rogues now.
Yes.
And
Well, rogues are always interesting.
rogues are, and I wanted rogues to really excel in certain areas and have skills that no other people can have. So everybody can stealth, but if you're in heavy armor, you're going to be a very disadvantaged when it comes to being heard. And if, as a group, you don't plan out how you're going to stealth in, you could be spotted, you could be seen. Or you might be retreating because there's too many guards. They're all looking around, and there's no way for you to get any closer without being seen. And you retreat to rethink your plans. So this was our approach to stealth. However, rogues have a couple of things.
First things first.
Yes.
Right. Before you start going into that, I just want to, because we're doing this over time, I want to remind everybody that one of the things that we've got is our oh, I like that. I do like that, Michael.
I do.
I like that a lot. One of the things I wanted to remind everybody was about the fact is our characters are actually paragons, and all of our paragons have got this increased awareness of the aether. So the aether that runs through everything, and therefore rogues have a connection to the aether. And that's really important when Dean goes into our specialist rogue skills, because they're not necessarily like the rogue skills you have seen before. So I think what we'll do is, if you now go through the rogue skills on here, and then I'm going to circle back to Michael's question once you've explained a little bit about our hide in shadows and move silently.
Absolutely.
So as Dean didn't bother to name this poor ranger.
Well, no, this is one of our pre-gen characters, and you get to name it. So this character will be appearing in our adventure.
Bob for now.
Yep, a ranger elf, first level, with long vision, so can see great distances as though it was close. A very good dexterity, 18 dexterity. Elves can get up to 20 dexterity. Humans can't. Humans are stuck at 18. So we do have racial maximums for your attributes to make the race you pick extra special. So we have our ranger, which has some rogue skills. And if I just
want to just scrolly down a bit, please.
I was just doing that. So here we go. Let's focus on the rogue skills here. So you will notice there's a splattering of rogue skills. They're not too bad. The hide in shadows is 2d20. So what hide in shadows is, it consumes stamina to maintain. So it's not it's not put up permanently. You've got to choose when you do it. But what hide in shadows does, it allows the rogue character, in this case the ranger, to cloak themselves with shadow aether and effectively become invisible. And it's for a short period of time. This ranger only has 6 stamina. They could do this for 6 rounds, which is just over a minute, before they then have to become visible because they can no longer sustain it. So if I give you a scenario, you've got this ranger sneaking through a forest. They are coming up towards this sort of overgrown, this tower that's overgrown. You've got vines about it, but there's a couple of orcs at the front. And they're going around the back when they hear an orc patrolling around the tower. They flatten themselves against the tower. So far, they haven't got close enough to be seen, and they haven't got close enough to be heard. And they say to the GM, I want to hide in shadows. So what they're trying to do is...
to say that. I want to hide in shadows.
There we go. So what they're going to be doing now is immediately trying to cloak themselves with shadow aether and become invisible. They're not moving, so they can't be heard, but they can be seen, because this orc's about to come around the corner and they'll be plain, in plain sight. So we're going to bring up a dice tray. Hang on. And if I just move that to there. So you have got a +9 dexterity and you're rolling 2d6, but rangers get to choose 2d20, sorry, 2d6, 2d20s. I got d6s on the mind because rangers choose a favored terrain, and this ranger has wilderness. So they get a boon when using hidden shadows in the wilderness. So you get to roll a d6 on top. So what have you got?
There's a 10 there.
And
there is a 7 and there is a 1. So
okay,
that means I have got a 10 plus a 1 is 11. And if I could now have a look at my
dexterity
character
is
sheet,
9.
9, 10, 9, 10. That's 20. I've made it.
So all DCs are 20. It's close. That was really close. But because the ranger is in the wilderness, they have an affinity for the land around them. The ranger becomes invisible, not moving, completely invisible. The orc walks past and continues its patrol. The ranger then drops the hidden shadows, becoming visible so that they can catch their breath and get stamina back before continuing their sneak into this tower. So that is kind of stealth as it is. It's very common sense approach. Someone mentioned about hiding in place. One of the valid. You're getting used to this, yeah?
I am. So I really like this question from Michael.
Okay.
How much will you let great role play on the character's part override a need to roll?
Sorry, Vicky, were you going to say something?
Yeah, is role play greater than dice baked into Untold Destiny anywhere?
Right. It will be within the Games Master's grimoire. And this will vary depending on the table. Some tables would like to just use the dice, and other tables would really push role play to the front. We are not going to say one is better than the other. You got to find what works for you, your group, and the table. My personal approach is it's a little bit of both. If the role playing is excellent, but the character lacks skill, they get to make a skill roll with a bonus. If the role play is excellent and they've also got a good skill, then you're done. So it's a combining of the two. How good is your character naturally? How good are you as a player? If you're great as a character and you really sold it to me as a player, then yeah, you've done it. Role play beats out on the dice. Or
I would say though,
Mm.
It's important that what you don't do is you don't let a character who's got like absolutely no hiding shadows and is in plate mail and who just role plays really well, getting away with stuff that someone who has ploughed training and they've actually invested in it, because that makes you think, well, why bother? So the rules have to actually, and this is as a character, so the rules actually have to support what you actually plough your training into. Your choices have got to have meaning. So yes, I think that you need to be, if you role play really well and you're making some effort. So, in the case that Dean just mentioned, where the orc's going to be coming around the corner, if the character sort of goes, right, there's a bush by here, I'm going to crouch down behind the bush, that would then allow Dean to say, okay, well, in that case, you get your hiding shadows with the boon. But what I would say is that when it comes to skills, there still needs to, you can't just let someone, just because of the, a rule of cool or whatever it is you want to call it, let it override, because otherwise you just have chaos at the table and then you get that accusation of favoritism coming in. You're
absolutely.
the GM's wife. That's why he's let you stand there on the top of the thing with one foot in the air pretending that you're a statue when you're obviously not. You want to avoid that at a table, in my opinion.
Oh no, that's
Dean's
exactly
a GM and he can overrule me.
Yeah, no, but that's what I was saying. Excellent role play. If you've got a bit of skill, I'd probably give you a bonus. Obviously, if no matter your role play, if you're walking out into the street in front of someone looking for you, they're going to find you.
I like this one from Paladin Steve. Can I make a stealth roll? Oh, you're standing in the middle of a market square on a busy day in bright sunlight. and at least 20 people are looking at or towards you. And I think that's where I really quite like your, your common sense mechanics. But at the same time, because of a rate of a rogue uh, connection to the aether, that ability maybe to blend into the crowd, describing that, and then folding the aether around them so that they almost like disappear off into a crowd. You could potentially do that with a good enough roll. But
Potentially,
again,
yeah.
with some good role play, with actually using your environment to your advantage, and by the fact that you have got your rogue skills, there are ways that you could attempt this.
Yeah. So, of course, the one thing to bear in mind, a crowd provides obscurement, provides
Yeah,
cover.
cover.
So, depending on how thick the crowd is, it's you trying to keep into the middle, keep away from guards. If you attempt to use hiding shadows and you got a lot of people around you, it becomes harder to gather your shadow aether about you. So, in the middle of combat, hiding shadows is difficult. You have a greater bane to the roll. Otherwise, it's just a standard roll. There's a chance, absolutely. And just to answer Michael's question, for stealth, all DCs are 20s. Yes. We only have one DC. Unless it's opposed, you're looking at a 20 or higher on any skill check. So yeah. Yes, and this is what I would say. One classic way of using stealth is, especially if someone's in heavy armor, they get as close as they can. They then hide and they try and lure the guard or their target toward them. Because whilst you're not moving and whilst you're out of sight, you're making no noise and you can't be seen. And then if the guard gets within 10 feet, that allows you to strike from hidden. And striking from hidden is great because you get a boon to your attack. They get an awareness saving throw to see if they spot you at the last minute, but it won't stop you hitting them. It just negates your boon bonus. And then there's some bonus features that, there's an ambush bonus feature, which when you're launching an ambush, you give your entire team a big bonus, and you don't get a boon, you get a greater boon on that attack. So, instead of pickpocketing, you do into people. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Your screen sharings. You're not zooming. Because the way you're zooming in, it's not particularly clear. My shares were clearer last time.
Yeah, but we did move to a smaller. So if I do that, is that better? Can people see that with us being on?
I'm just poking you.
You're just poking. You know, I take this very seriously. In fact, that's not going to work because it's too much there. But we can bring it up on the bigger screen. There we go.
We'll bring it up on the bigger one. No, I like Paladin Steve. Like instead of picking pockets, Untold Destiny rogues sneakily sneak coins into people's pockets. Now that is one thing. How do I bring up that one nice and big? No, not you.
Which one?
That one. Yes. And so if you have a look, we haven't got pickpockets, but we do have sleight of hand. And the reason for that is our rogues aren't necessarily going to be thieves, as in stealing stuff. Rogues are far more around, well, what I class rogues and what Dean class rogues, which is we got dungeoneers. What's our rogues? We've got dungeoneers.
We got the bard. A bard falls under
bard,
rogue.
of course.
The dungeoneer,
yes.
Which is your classic going in, finding traps and dealing with
our
stuff like that. The scout.
Scout, yes.
And the infiltrator.
The infiltrator.
So the
Guys,
infiltrator is an interesting one.
Infiltrator.
Yes, they are designed to be able to mimic people. Very good with disguise. So the idea, if you're playing an infiltrator and you're going up against a bandit camp, your kind of view to this is, okay, I'm going to start to study them. I'm going to understand how they kind of work, and then I'm going to pretend to be one of them. Find a way of infiltrating them. Try and get close to the big bad guy. Try and study the bad guy. And if you've got enough time to study the bad guy, you gain a huge bonus to your vital strike against that bad guy. And that's every vital strike you do. So the idea being with secret messages and stuff. So this could take place role play over a week in game, a week or two or three, and then at the designated time, the party attack. The big bad guy's like, oh, we got a cat. The big bad guy is like,
So we've got
come
a
on,
cat.
guys, get him. And then you're right next to him and you strike and you do a ton of damage to him because you set all this up. You've studied your target. You understand the weaknesses of your target. And we really wanted the infiltrator to be, quite special and very good at this. Poison is really one of their big tools. So you could strike doing poison on top. You could end up potentially killing the bad guy in a couple of hits. And yes, the Shadow Monk is the last one in the rogue archetype.
So yeah, one of the reasons that we haven't got ninjas in the system at the moment is because we feel that ninjas are more of a sort of oriental. Really, Freya? She's your cat.
I know.
We feel that ninjas are more sort of oriental, and that it doesn't quite fit into Untold Destiny as it stands at the moment. When we actually do one of these and we talk about the long running history of Untold Destiny and some of the background from the leaving Earth, I think that will become clear, and there will be opportunities for ninjas, but not on Kaseya. All right. So that could be on another planet in the Untold Destiny universe. So we'll get into that in a bit more detail. Now,
So
I quite like the fact.
yeah, you would have heard the term monk. Think of your cloistered monks.
Yeah.
This is what we're talking about. So a shadow monk is someone who has led a terrible life and they are seeking penance. So they've joined a church, and as part of that joining the church, they join the monastery. But the monastery acknowledges that they've got certain skills. So they are allowed to break their tenets and use their skills for the furtherment of their god or goddess. But once they've done the task, they have to spend time in penance, seeking forgiveness afterwards. So this is where someone has been gifted with these skills. They got these rogue skills, but they're trying to use them for good. And then we got the counter to that. We got the warrior monk, which is your cloistered defender, and they're based very much on. I believe there were monks in was it World War II?
World War II, yeah.
Yeah, and these were the medics effectively, but they could fight and they would be on the battlefields. They'd be helping their soldiers. They'd be fighting. They'd be dragging people off the battlefield, stuff like that. So we try to draw on a lot of history and the Friar Tuck kind of monk rather than the Oriental monk. That's not to say that there isn't room for an Oriental sort of source book, but it's not our focus. We focused primarily on. And we got a Freya up there, primarily on medieval
She got bored of me.
fantasy. She has. I tell you what, the cats have not got used to the fact that we're doing stuff after 10 o'clock because we're normally in bed by this time.
She is the HR director. So Michael's asked.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. What could possibly go wrong? The cat balancing on your chair.
There we go.
All right. So for stealth, all DCs are 20. All right. So
yeah, we answered this earlier. All DCs are 20, regardless of what you're doing.
But of course, if it's going to be difficult, Dean will actually apply a boon or a bane. So I think what would be really nice, as we've got the dice, is I'm going to ask you guys in the chat. Ooh, Michael's saying that we're a bit grainy today.
Really? That is strange.
It's probably because you've got your giant screen up. Let's move to something better.
Yeah, we seem to be coming through clear on Rumble. In fact, we're looking very clear on Rumble. So I don't know whether.
Do you want to just get rid of your share for the moment, please?
Yes, I can do that.
There we go. So what I would like to do, yes, Cam, yes, this is what I want to do.
Yes.
I haven't got to roll some dice in ages because we keep having to do virtual games and I miss rolling dice. So I think what I'm going to ask is we're going to basically come up with a couple of scenarios, and you could come up with scenarios too. Give us a scenario. Dean will talk it through, and we'll basically roll the dice. So I'm going to start off. With I'm leaving the forest. There is a hill leading up to a tower. She's determined, isn't she? Right. So I'm leaving the forest. There's a hill leading up to a tower. There's some bushes over the hill in different places, and there are some orcs that are in the tower, and they're watching out over. They're keeping an eye out. I am a ranger, and I'm playing the ranger that we had before. So I've got 2d20 in my skill. So I'm an expert. And I'm going to try and use the bushes that are scattered about the hill. And instead of just going straight up the path, I'm going to try and use these bushes for cover and basically make my way carefully, check in to see, where the orcs are looking, etc. Because I'm an elf, I've got really good vision, and I'm going to go bush to bush and make my way up to the edge of the tower, where when I get up to the tower, I'm going to use the aether to cover myself. So this is where we might want to talk a little bit about awareness.
So everybody's got an awareness saving throw, and this is based on wisdom, and it is a saving throw for when it's your chance just spotting something unusual, something that you're not actively looking for. If you're looking for it, you use your investigation skill, but it's your kind of passive awareness of what's going on around. So what Vicky's just described there, I would be describing what the orcs were doing. Should probably watch them for a period of time to see if there's a pattern. Likelihood with orcs is probably not really much of a pattern. And then she would choose her moments to move, to dart forward, to get into hiding. I would make it as tense as possible. And at times, if she's midway through darting, I might suddenly describe an orc suddenly beginning to move into view and insist on an acrobatics check or something like that for her to dart into a bush quicker than she would normally. Or
Yes.
she may just go, oh, I'm going to hide in shadows immediately rather than.
Well, let's start off. I am now leaving, right? I'm going to talk about it because I want to roll dice. Right?
Okay.
I am now leaving. I'm heading to the first bush. I've checked. There's no orcs looking in my direction. I am a ranger. We're in the wilderness, so I get my D6 as well as my 2d20, and I'm heading towards the first bush.
Yeah. So you're waiting for all the orcs not to be looking. And at the appropriate point, you can't see any of the orcs looking towards you. So you quickly dart to the bush, and you're now hidden in that bush. Yeah, so there's no dice rolling. You're far enough away. Yeah. So you're in the first bush. You got another 50, 60 feet before you reach the edge of the tower where you can loop around the back out of sight.
Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run carefully to the next bush. When I've clocked, I'll just keep an eye out for all of the orcs. And at the point where I believe that they're all got their backs to me, I'm going to run to the next bush. And I'm very conscious now. I might be about 50 foot away, so there's more likelihood of them seeing me.
Well, you're close enough that if they're looking in your direction when you're darting, they're going to see you full stop.
Well, in that case, I am going to focus and connect the aether and pull the aether around me.
Okay, so this is where I'd say make a hide in shadows. You're obviously in a wilderness environment. You have a boon.
So I have a boon.
Yep.
So I've got my D6, which is what I normally have. Do I get an extra dice as well?
No, D6? The D6 is the boon.
Is my boon. So is that's fine.
Yeah.
We didn't call it a boon earlier. So what have I got there? I've got, oh, look!
Was that a 20? So what would happen here is you'd become immediately invisible, not having to spend stamina on the first round of invisibility. So that would just be a gone. Um, and at that point, yeah, you could probably dart forward and head up to the tower. Obviously, as you get closer to the tower, you do hear
Yeah.
an orc heading around the tower and getting quite close to you. Now you're still on the move, so you are making noise. And at this point, it may be the orc begins to look around, hearing something.
In that case, I am going to do it. I'm going to try and be very quiet.
So I would insist now on a move silent. And that is only one dice. You're not so good, but you still got your boon because you're in the wilderness.
Which dice am I going to use? I'm going to use that one. Yes. And I'm going to use. It's very important I choose the right die. Oh no.
So that's a 9 plus
Oh
your 9.
no.
That's an 18. That's a fail. So at this
No.
point, being paragons, you have fate points. I would be asking, are you fating it
Yes.
or accepting your fate?
I'm
And
going
if you
to
had a
I'm going
fate
to
point, you could
fate
re-roll.
point.
Bearing in mind, yep, and that's a pass. So completely silently, she heads up to the side of the tower. I've counted another couple of rounds for this orc to go past. So she's sweating a bit because her stealth time, the number of stamina she's got is slowly dropping at this point.
I would like to say that the way that I see fate is I was about to step forwards and I noticed that there was a twig on the floor and and I had that sort of little bump of trouble that made me go, oh, and I redistributed my weight at that precise moment in time. I always see fate as you just get a glimmer of what's going to happen and you manage to adjust just at the last minute.
Yeah.
That's how I personally like it. So
Yeah, it would
could
be
be
that
talking
sixth
rubbish.
sense or noticing
Yeah.
something and adjusting immediately. But you're now up against the tower, and this is where I could then hit her with a. You hear some sniffing and growling, and at the top of the tower, a warg's head appears and begins to look down. We're not going to run through this, but certain animals have a scent ability, and even when you're invisible they can smell you within a certain distance. Typically, this is about 120 feet. There's a
That's
bonus
based.
feature called Stealthy, which can drop that down to 60 feet. And there may be other ways of dropping it further, but typically, there's a reason why guards will have dogs and why things like wargs, which have a keen nose, can sniff out. They'll kind of know whereabout it is you are, and it's an early warning system. And this is purely because you're living in a world where people can become completely invisible, but there are animals that can sense unusual scents and stuff like that. It wouldn't work so well in the middle of a city where you got lots of people, but if you got an orc tower and they got a warg, the warg would smell something that isn't orc, and that would trigger the scent. If it's the middle of the night and there's no one around, likelihood is the guard dog would sniff something unusual that isn't the guards around them. So again, common sense comes in. Um, there was also something else I was gonna. Oh, it's gone. So we've got that. Ah, yes. There is also, because people can go invisible. I always play through scenarios for world building, which is okay. We're in a world where a character can effectively become invisible, almost at will. What would be the counter? And there is a simple counter which most guards will carry, which are these colored powdered packs, and I put them on bandoliers and stuff like that. If thrown, when it hits the ground, it explodes and covers a small area in dust that clings to whatever's in that area. So if a dog's barking in a certain direction and they kind of guess where you are and throw one of these packs and you happen to be in that area, even if you're invisible, you're now covered with this kind of multicolored dust that reveals where you are. You still have the invisibility condition, so you can still gain the benefits, but you can also be seen and thus targeted and dealt with by guards.
Yeah. And this is part and parcel of, there has got to be some common sense when it comes to stealthing. And, in a world where admittedly not many people, but some people can go invisible, then yes, you're gonna have those counters. and it is important. And the best thing about it is you've got creatures that can go invisible,
Mm.
and you can actually get those powder packs as adventurers, which can come in handy.
Yeah, when you're up against stalkers, which are cat-like creatures that have a natural sort of camouflage, yeah, it's absolutely vital to have something that can reveal where these creatures are. Otherwise, they'll just be pouncing and hitting you really hard and then disappearing off into the bush and becoming completely invisible again. Right. Have we covered everything on stealth, do you think?
I think we have. I mean, stealth is unless is there any more questions on stealth? I don't think I've missed any.
No, we got the one on focus.
Oh, I would like to just show this and just say a jammy dodger is my favourite biscuit.
A jammy dodger is. And yeah, with a good enough sleight of hand, you can do that. Sleight of hand is your very much magician's trick. So it's you touch them on the arm and then snifle something from their pockets. It's also used if you want to apply poison to a weapon during combat. Instead of just relying on your dexterity and taking a risk, if you got a really good sleight of hand, you can use that because it's all about dexterity and dexterous use of your hands. Um, so
I
yes.
think I think your mention of poisons is an
Mm,
excellent segue, Dean, into our kits, because one of the things that you can do is you can actually make your own poisons, I
yes,
do
you can.
believe.
You can. You got a lot of kits and a lot of things you can do. What we're going to cover then is do we want to answer the one that's been favorited up there, Henny, first?
I was going to come back to
That's
that
fine.
one towards the end. I want you to talk about rules and then we will circle round to that one. But yes, that's why that's pinned.
Okay. So what we're going to do is bring this up here. So
So last time, the bit I wanted to cover, I actually did a snipping and shared it because it means that when you go in, it's not so grainy.
well, this should be okay. I've zoomed in quite a bit, and it
Yeah,
allows me
that's
to
fine.
scroll up and down. Yeah, because otherwise
Yeah.
it's too many. So there's a couple of things we got here, which are things like your poisoning kits. You got healing kits, you got herbalism kits, you got alchemy kits, and these are things that can create items that you can use whilst you're adventuring or when you're at home. You can create a stockpile. So these kits, because the world is based on a pre-technology world where things are packaged and are versatile. That kind of mindset has carried through to the medieval nature of this new world. And kits contain a lot of components that, when combined, always carry flour. Yes. When
It
combined,
is.
can
I
create
love that.
absolutely. Yeah. 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 When combined, can create different things. And we have what's called downtime actions or downtime. Your adventuring day is typically 8 hours adventuring or traveling. And then you make camp, spend 4 hours making the camp, and then roughly 12 hours sleeping and breaking camp. And that's your 24-hour cycle. Um, oh no, it's yeah. We will go into what alchemy can do and how relevant it remains. Bearing in mind that if you haven't, it it can give a martial character a way of dealing damage to a wider area, or a wizard a way of dealing a lot more damage than they would normally. So what we're going to do is, if we focus, that's a good one. We'll focus on alchemy first.
I'm going to focus on alchemy because alchemy is one of my favourites, I have to say.
Yeah.
Alchemy, blacksmithing. In fact, I like them all.
Yes. So with alchemy, if I just go up to what you can create with alchemy, you've made camp, and you know the following day you're going up against troll-like creatures, and fire is very effective against them. So during the 4 hours of making camp, everybody has a downtime action, and typically this might be someone saying, "Look, I'm going to go out, I'm going to do some trapping, get us some fresh food, bring it back." Someone else then says, "Well, I'm going to set up the camp, and I've got a good cooking skill. When you bring the food back, I'll cook it. It'll give us a load of temporary hit points for the following day." And then someone might have blacksmithing and say, "Give me all your metal weapons. I'm going to take care of them, make sure they're extra sharp, make sure armor's pretty good." And they get a load of tokens that can give bonuses when using those metal items. However, you got alchemy, and you're thinking, I would like some stuff to use against the trolls. Yeah, I haven't got anything at the moment. We used the last ones I had, the last bombs. So let me make some more. And you can then, using an alchemy kit, craft yourself. It's only the one, although there are ways you can craft more than one flask, oil, or potion. And you can make this in the field whilst the camp is being set up. So if I have a look at, with a standard alchemy kit, you can make yourself an acid bomb. And an acid bomb can be thrown. It would be a throw skill with a greater boon if you're hitting the floor, because you're aiming at a stationary point. All creatures within 15 feet will take 4d6.
Can I have a look at my ranger's thrown skills, please? Have I got any?
Yes, let me have a look at your ranger, and let's scroll up. And unfortunately, your ranger
didn't give me any. So let's just play this one out. So you said I would have a boon.
You would have a greater boon if throwing at the floor.
Boon. Right.
Yeah.
Greater boon. Right. Shall we see if my ranger?
Hang on, I'm going to have to show your dice.
Show me dice. You're lucky,
pop it on
Maxine.
There. Okay, so your ranger's got a dex of +9, but they're rolling 2d20 and taking the lowest. But then you've got a d10 because you've got a greater boon. And there we go.
So I got a 5 there. Yes.
+9.
Total of 5. +9, 9, 10, 11. No,
14.
That's not a 20.
Okay, so at this point, I'd be saying you roll a d8 for scatter, and then roll a d6 for how many 5 feet you've gone off your target. So the bomb still lands somewhere, but it might not be anywhere near.
The bomb still lands. It doesn't land necessarily near, but if I do hit them, I've still got a chance. I've still got a chance of hitting them because I have to make an opposed roll.
No, because you're aiming at the floor.
Yes, but hopefully I can get close enough that they get something.
Okay. And off the top of my head, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is behind and to your left, and then roll a d6.
Oh.
And that's 20 feet. So you threw the bomb, it kind of went sideways and probably landed over there.
Yeah, probably knowing me on the...
nowhere near the creature, but could potentially be near you. So if you're going to use and lob bombs, you need a good throwing skill. You can take a risk if you want, but there are other ways. There are things like oils, and oils can be applied to your weapons, and they will
bomb launcher too.
And you got the bomb launcher. That gives you extra range when you're lobbing bombs. So it's this big sort of tube. You put a bomb in the tube and you fling it like that, and you get a load of range on your bombs. So you can, with alchemy, create some really specialized... it costs money, but this can really swing battle. Oh, thanks very much.
Thank you for coming, and have a wonderful time looking at houses.
Yes, I hope you find something good. And if I just put this back up here. So you can see with the acid bomb, 15 feet around the point of impact, a load of acid damage. There's a dexterity item, saving throw item, because the attack is from an item. And you get the acid burn condition, which is you take a d6 damage at the start of every round. If you roll a 5 or a 6, the condition disappears. Or if you spend your action wiping the acid off, it goes. We've then got elemental ammo, and this is the oils I was talking about. And you pour it onto your weapon. Oh, no, sorry. Elemental arrows are not that. So our ranger could... So the person with alchemy decides that they're going to create some elemental arrows, fire arrows. They can create 4 as part of their downtime. So they spend 1 charge from their kit, so a bit of money's going out the window. They concoct this liquid. They then coat 4 arrows, as long as they make their roll, which is an alchemy roll with a boon. And I don't believe our ranger's got alchemy. No, there's another character with alchemy, our wizard, who has a 3 dice in alchemy with +9.
Well, in that case, I will. So, and you said I get a boon?
And you get a boon, add a d6. So the wizard who's using alchemy.
Ooh,
Yeah,
So I have 16, 17, 18, and plus 9, 18.
27.
It's just 27. I
So
got there.
you got more than 20. That's all you need. More than 20 or 20 or more, you're done. So the ranger now has 4 arrows, and these arrows, when fired, let's go back here, will deal fire damage plus an additional D8. So
I'm
it
gonna have
converts
to.
all of the arrows damage to fire and adds a D8 to the weapon damage. So this is great because any ability you've got that also increases your weapon damage will stack with this. So you could potentially end up in a position where you're dealing quite a bit of damage, but it's all fire, and you know the creature's vulnerable to fire, which means all of a sudden you're dealing another D10 because you hit their vulnerability. And it's this kind of clever thinking, planning that allows you to deal with threats that are potentially a lot harder than you would normally be able to deal with. And then if you've got a greater kit, you can actually create exploding ammo. And then if you've got the superior kit, you can create blasting ammo. And there's a lot of stuff in alchemy. There's a lot of bombs, stuff like that, smoke bombs, the glitter bomb, which is a bigger area than the smaller sort of powders, and it lasts a lot longer than the powder. So
So,
let's have a look.
so to circle back round to summarize the question, Cam, yes, the whole point about alchemy is that it remains important throughout the game. It is important at low levels, and it's just as important at high levels. Because even though your wizard can do loads of things, skills have always got a place in Untold Destiny. We've tried to make sure that you don't get to the point where all of that training and stuff just goes out the window because the mage or the cleric can just do everything and skills don't matter. We wanted skills to matter,
Yeah,
because that's one of the things that makes your character special. So yeah, every single skill in Untold Destiny is usable from low to high levels.
yeah. To give you an idea, the ice bomb superior. So this uses a superior kit. It's costing you a lot of money to make this bomb, but the bomb deals 10d6 cold damage. The top tier of damaging spells is typically 9 dice. So immediately, this is comparable to someone lobbing a 7th tier spell. So that's we tried to make sure that in return for you spending money, you get a really good return. So at top levels, at 20th level, I can see people still using alchemy. The weapon oils is another great one. You coat it on your weapon, and for the next on the top level for 2 rounds, the weapon deals additional fire damage. So or lightning damage depending on the oil, and it does 3d8 more damage. So the right oil, the right bomb, the right ammunition against the right targets can make a huge difference to combat. And sometimes you're looking for that because, of course, what was it? You during Sunday's game, actually, it was quite interesting. They went up against crystal lizards, and these lizards have a crystal shell that is incredibly resistant to any damage apart from blunt and aether damage. And the party was struggling, and these creatures were lashing in. They were breathing shards of crystal. The crystals were cutting deep into flesh and causing bleeding conditions. And I think your tank got a wound during that encounter.
Yeah, I think it was one wound they
Yeah.
ended up with, if I remember
5
rightly.
first level
Yeah.
characters against 4 2-hit dice creatures. And these creatures were just vicious because not everybody in the party had a means of dealing with them properly, which is dealing blunt damage or dealing aether damage to the creatures. And then on top, when you cracked and destroyed the shell, it would explode around the creature, damaging anybody nearby. So there were a lot of
Ooh,
really interesting things
mean.
happening in this fight. And they could, because they're earth creatures, they could kind of glide underwater, under the ground and come back up again. So yeah, it was an interesting combat, and it highlighted having the right tools can make a very big difference when you're up against certain creatures.
That's one of the reasons as a player, what's happened?
uh, Hang on.
No, we
Yes.
don't have. Yeah, we. So funnily enough, no, nobody had a mace, and that's quite amusing considering. I like the fact you say no healer, but because our clerics don't necessarily have to, we don't have to have.
There we go.
Doing.
Because then when I
Oh,
bring that up,
dice book.
you're not hidden.
Yeah, so because you don't have to have a healer in Untold Destiny, it really does mean that when you put a party together, you can actually play characters that you want to play. Because the whole point is that we don't have that sort of I fall over, I get back up. I think we discussed that a bit last time. And the fact is, you've got some trickle healing, but then you've got first aid, and anyone can take the healing. So, if Dean wouldn't mind just going back onto the ranger.
I will go back onto the ranger. There we go.
Right. So if you just scroll down a little bit, you can see here we've got healing. So our ranger tends to be pretty good at healing. So he's got a 4d20 on his skill, and healing is a skill in Untold Destiny. So we don't have cure light wounds, we don't have healing potions as such, but we do have a healing kit. And now I think it's a really good time for you to show the healing kit, Dean.
I will go to the healing kit right now. So, of course, these creatures are leaving people with bleeds. And a bleed condition is at the start of the round, you roll a d6 for each bleed condition you have, taking that much damage, so it can't be resisted or reduced. If you roll a 1 or a 2 on the dice, that condition disappears. Your blood kind of coagulates and that wound disappears. Otherwise, you do need to have aid or something to remove the bleeding. So we are looking at healing kits, and healing kits again come in 3 types: your normal, your superior, your normal, greater, and superior. And this is a kind of thematic that runs through everything. Enchantments are normal, greater, superior, and so are kits. So the first aid action on a healing kit, you make a healing test. The target recovers hit points equal to half the result. And if the target has 1 or more bleeding conditions, 1 bleed condition is removed. So you start to remove conditions with this. You can also treat diseases. Long-term care can help someone recover from wounds. And you can treat certain afflictions, like, as we said, bleeding above. But if they're dazed, frightened, if they hamstrung is like you've got a gammy leg or something, you've been hit in the calf and you're struggling to move. The poison condition is a constantly being damaged, and reeling is where you're struggling, your brain's kind of reeling, and it's hard to focus and concentrate. So this is your only way really of dealing with conditions, including some really horrible conditions, things like energy drain and stuff like that. And it was to just get away from you needing a cleric, and to get away from a player having to fit this
Healer role.
this role, which a lot of players don't. They want to play the cleric they want to play. So in answer to your question, no, not many people had blunt weapons. Even the Master at Arms, which is the tank, had really went down the war axe route. So got a dwarven war axe. I think there was one person with a blunt weapon, and the
I just
bard.
shields.
Yeah. And the bard had some blunt arrows. So we have arrow blunted heads. They don't go as far as a normal arrow, but they deal blunt damage, which they shared with the ranger in the party. But yes, it was a tough fight. It was a good fight, actually. I really enjoyed it. And now they potentially there is a mother lizard in the area that they have the option of dealing with. They don't have to, but it could be great kudos for them. They could build legend by taking out such a mighty creature.
Indeed. So that gives you an understanding of a couple of the skills, and that's really quite nice. But the other thing I wanted us to talk to you about today is, so we've talked about kits, and we've got quite a few of those. So do you want to just move back to the kits, darling?
Yes, I do. So which kits are you looking at?
I hate it when you scroll and scream.
Sorry. No.
Ah.
That was terrible. That was absolutely. There we go. So that's the list of kits we've got.
So that gives you an example of kits and things like cooking. If you've actually got sort of some fresh food and you've got a cooking kit, you can again benefits from those. Camping, you've actually can hide your camps. So if you've got your camping kit, you could put stuff up to make sure that your camp's not as visible. So things like that's really good. Fishing, let me see what that'd be used for. That'd be for fishing.
Yeah.
So yes, you can still go fishing with Untold Destiny. Blacksmithing, I absolutely love because what you can do is you can look after. I've always remembered the pictures I used to see when, in my head at least, whenever I used to read a book, and it was always the party there, you know, basically looking after their weapons, getting out of, getting all of the sort of dents out of the armor and looking after their gear. Well, you can do that with a blacksmith kit in Untold Destiny. And the benefits of actually looking after your blacksmith's kit is the fact that if you spend a token, so you can just look after it and make sure that it's shiny and that'll be fine. But if you actually spend one of your charges from your blacksmithing kit, it means you're making sure everything's, your weapons are super smart, super sharp. And that means then in the next day, when you're in the middle of a battle, if you've looked after everybody's weapons that evening, you can actually add a d6 to certain rolls, and you've got 4 of these that you can do if you've used one charge from a blacksmith's kit. So, for example, um, one of my allies could be hitting this crystal lizard, and it could be really close to getting through its armor, and I could actually say, "Oh, it could dodge that." I'm gonna, I'm gonna, I'm gonna say that at that point, my blacksmithing kit just made that blade a bit sharper or a bit more blunt. Maybe, maybe I was that good, and therefore I've added that d6 to his attack roll, so that then that crystal lizard doesn't have as much chance to jump out to sort of get out the way and to dodge what's coming in, which means that we're more likely to take it out. So you can use it, you can keep it all to yourself. I could say, no, it's my weapons and I'm just going to look after myself. But one of the real benefits is you can share it, and it aids that companionship. It aids that coming together and working as a party, which I really like.
Yeah. So of course, in addition to being able to create blacksmithing items and stuff like that, if you find rare metals, you can use the skill to create weapons and armor. It's this downtime action of giving you these improvement tokens that then allow you during the combat. As I said, everything we've tried to do within Untold Destiny is to make sure that when you're in a combat, you're not just sat there waiting for your turn. You're waiting for an opportunity to do something. And if you're the blacksmith in the group, you could have these 4 tokens, or there's a bonus feature which is Blacksmith Master, and it gives you 8 tokens instead of 4 when you spend a charge. So you're that much better, and it's that opportunity to go. Do you know what? We've really got to take this creature down. You got a good roll there, but let's spend a token. Let me roll a d6. Yeah, add that to your attack, and then when you hit, I'll spend another token and add a d6 to your damage. So it's all these ways that the party can kind of help each other, and these skills that are traditionally kind of overlooked in other games or poorly fleshed out. I wanted to make sure that they had a purpose, and this is the one area I would say that with the Sunday group, it's a group that have been part of the playtest, so they're used to all of this. They haven't played 5e, I think, for some time now. They've been playing Untold
Yeah, it's been
Destiny.
2 years. We've only played
Yeah.
Untold Destiny now for well over 2 years.
And when it came to that fight, the night before, there were charges coming up, there were kits being used, all of this was happening. And of course, when you're looking after someone's equipment, you get those improvement tokens until they are spent, or you spend another charge to regain up to that number again. Um, so all of this came up as normal, and then the group were working very well together. When we look at the Monday game, so this is with Jack and Brass and Vicky, we don't get much of this because 2 of the players are very 5e based, and this is a very big. It's a big change. You don't get this within 5e and D&D, and it takes. I think it takes just a little bit of.
You have to get used to it.
Yeah,
It's the fact is you can do stuff, in the evenings, you can do stuff in your downtime. You can even go, hang on a minute, we were going to go into that cave um later. You know what we're going to do? We're going to back off, we're going to create a camp, and we're going to do a couple of things because our scout's gone in, snuck around, and we know there's X and Y in there, and we actually want to prepare. So
yeah,
you can do stuff like that. And I love it because you've heard me rant about the fact I hate the stop start adventuring day. But what this actually does is when you think about your stories and the stories that you've read, the Belgariad and stuff like that, where they've actually talked about, oh, well, we're going somewhere and therefore it'd be good if we've all had a good night's rest and we all have some food and we all have this. It actually does support that sort of, role playing. It supports you thinking about what you're going to do and working as a team. And I really like that. I think it adds that sort of nuance that's missing in some games. So that's great. And the other thing is, if you're good at blacksmithing, so if you've got the blacksmithing skill, if you find some rare item, some rare metals, you can you can when you've got, say, a couple of weeks of downtime or whatever, you can make yourself some armor. You can make armor and sell it. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with you being able to have, side things. It means at high levels, if you decide you want I tend to like having a base of operation. I really do like, if I'm a wizard, I will have a tower because I want a tower. I will always create one, I'll get one built or whatever it is I need to do. I love my towers. When I'm a fighter, I love having a base of where I can train and stuff like that. And I like the fact I could be a blacksmith and I can actually create items and I can do things like that. Or if I'm a wizard, I can create, I might have decided to take alchemy. But you could even be a wizard that is good at blacksmithing. There's nothing stopping you doing any of that. So you can come up with the character you want to play, and it can have something outside of its adventuring life, which I absolutely love. Oh, Dean's gone into the special materials.
yes. So our items, we don't have magic giving you your +1, +2, +3, and this is a callback to first edition AD&D. And it's something I absolutely love. And a lot of games have kind of used this, mostly on the computer side. But it's something I've incorporated. And the metal or the material of your weapon or armor or shield gives you the plus of your item. So mithril creates a +1 item. So if you've got a mithril sword, you get an extra d8 damage when you strike with the sword. And it's half the encumbrance. It's really light. It's quick. The big advantage with mithril is armor. If you're wearing mithril armor, you have half of the encumbrance level of the armor, and you no longer suffer penalties for the medium and heavy keywords. So in other words, you don't have your penalties to dodge, you don't have your penalties to your acrobatics, athletics, or endurance, because it's not weighing you down, it's not getting in your way. It's flexible, it's light, it's really good. If you're a rogue, you still have penalties to your skills, because those penalties come from the rogue skills rather than the keywords. The other big thing with the +1, +2, +3 is when you're wearing armor, when you make a brace test, natural 20 is a critical success. And you don't spend stamina on the brace test, you automatically pass. If you're wearing +1, it becomes a 19 or 20. +2 is an 18, 19, or 20, and +3 is a 17, 18, 19, or 20. So the better the material, the bigger your critical success range when making tests with that. The same applies for shields as well. So parrying with a mithril shield, you can critically parry on a 19 or 20. So there are some definite benefits for having these sort of items. They don't overshadow the game. There's no benefits. So it isn't a +1 to hit, +1 to damage. It's very distinct. It's the +d8 to damage for a weapon, or it's the increased crit for armor and shields. And of course, you've got the skill. Certain creatures can be harvested. So earth elementals typically have gems for the smaller creatures, or veins of mithril, adamantium, potentially even orichalcum. So these, and this is where we're going to come on to tools. Creatures that have hides, creatures that are made of wood, creatures that are made of earth, when you've defeated them, you can spend time and see if there's anything valuable as part of that creature. And this is one way of getting your special materials, of getting into second income coming in. So again, it's all about this focusing on skills. I wanted skills to be important. I wanted skills to have meaning during the game.
It's important, isn't it? I think I've always felt that skills are important and they've always been downplayed and just get overshadowed by the class.
Yeah.
And I think this way, because not only that, you can decide what skills you want, you can actually create that sort of character that you envisage.
Yeah.
Yes, tools and mining. Dean.
Yeah. Yes. Your tools. Tools,
show the
mining.
tools.
Absolutely. We got the tools on screen there. So when it comes to mining, you got your rock hounding tools. And rock hounding are this is the official term for these chisels and stuff like that, which are used to dig through rock and extract some of the more valuable stuff from those rocks. Blacksmithing or engineering are the skills that are used. If you want to do mining, as in proper mining, it's engineering, because you're talking about reinforcements, knowing where to dig and stuff like that. But when you're out in the field, you've defeated a creature, blacksmithing is sufficient to be able to use your rock hounding tools. You've defeated a big spider that has venom sacs. If you've got alchemy or herbalism, and you've got the poison crafter bonus feature, so you know how to deal with poisons, you can extract poison from those creatures and add it to your available poisons, or apply it to other people's weapons and so forth. Skinning tools.
What I love. You know what I love? I'm going to just, because you always miss out my sericulture tools.
I've just gone up to it there. Yes.
I love that. The fact is that I don't like spiders, but the thought of being able to then extract the silk, and that would be really, really expensive, because you could use it for so much, and you can actually extract that and you can use it. That's just awesome.
Yeah.
You can create yourself robes of spider silk.
Yeah. And again, there'll be +1, +2, +3 rogues. They because you can't brace in rogues, they give you other abilities instead. So it's this is, we try to make sure that your ability to create items, to craft your own items, if you're creating high level characters and you have these skills, you can actually start with more gear, because it's assumed you've made some of that gear yourself.
So this is a lovely one from Michael. What about something like blacksmithing versus silversmithing, etc.? Any way to specialize or improve in a trade?
The only way you've got currently is through bonus features. So we got Blacksmith Master, and that's about it. And that's more for the tokens. You've raised a good point there, which is more than likely in the future. So we've had to keep the scope. We're running at over 300 pages before artwork's added. There's so much content here. We've had to decide what had to go by the wayside. And I think your specializations is something we bring in at a later point, which is about how can you hyper specialize your skills to gain an even better benefit in certain areas. So out the box, no, but that is something on the cards for the future.
Well, you see, I'm going to interrupt, because I always interrupt.
Go on.
And when we were playing our last 5e campaign, I wanted to basically have a character that would also have a business, and we actually created a whole set of rules around that business, and we then expanded it to cover other businesses, because some of the other players also decided to take on businesses, because it was a nice little side gig, and we actually had people who worked for us, so that when we were out adventuring, they would look after the business, and it almost became like a little mini side game. Now, that is something that we definitely want to release. And with that, what we'll do is we will actually add more things in that you can do with your different skills. But Dean's right. If we keep expanding the core rule book with all of our ideas, we will never get it out there. And and it will just end up being such a mighty tome. And that's why we're trying to keep it as streamlined as possible, but still giving you absolutely tons and tons and tons of options when you actually go through creating your characters. I can't wait until we all get together and we actually start creating characters with you all.
Yeah. And of course, there are certain background choices you can make that will affect how you can create items. So, for example, if you come from the blacksmithing background, you have the option to actually say, I'm going to double the materials I use, but I'm going to halve the time it takes to create the item. Or I'm going to take twice as long to create the item, but I only now need half the material. So there are some, there are some background choices you can have, and these affect. So if you're a woodsman, a lumberjack, I think we called it, when it comes to extracting wood from creatures, you're that much better. You got a better critical range to get double the materials back, and so forth. So there are ways already built into the system where you can kind of specialize, but we haven't gone down to the level of like blacksmithing versus silversmithing or anything like that. That's definitely for the future when we want to add a bit more complexity and a bit more options to what you've got. There is one thing that having magical, having +1, +2, +3 gear, and this is something that I have always loved.
Yeah, scrolling.
Oh no, it's messed up the table. I'm gonna have to find the proper table. Give me 2 seconds.
Did you not check before you PDF'd it?
I
D
it was one of those
minus must
things.
do better.
Yes, if I go back up to special materials, you can have a look at the silks. The silks are quite interesting.
Yeah.
Whilst I see what's happened to that table, that is terrible.
So you want me to talk about the different things or the different silks?
Yeah, have you seen the silks? Because I don't think you've really seen that, have you?
I started looking at them, yes.
Mm.
Because I came up the spider silk, but you've obviously taken some more. Ooh. No, I don't want to wear anything from Undead.
Oh, yes, that's good.
No.
That helps you resist energy drains.
And we haven't got Undead, we've got Unliving.
No, we went back to Undead, remember?
Oh, gosh. Editing when he keeps changing his words is a challenge.
Yes. Anyway, I am going to just
Delicious.
quickly take a snapshot of this. I've corrected the table. It's section breaks and stuff. We're working in Word at the moment, and the problem you got with working in Word is
It's rubbish.
It's temperamental. And all I'm going to do is drop that into here. Why has that done that? That's not right.
Technical difficulties.
Yep,
And
technical
it's not
difficulties.
me.
Standing by. There we go. Sorry,
Doopy-doopy-doopy-doo.
that was the wrong one I put in. I'm putting that one in now.
Okay, there we go.
Okay. If I just zoom out a little bit there. So, item saving throws. And this was something they got rid of in, 3.5. It was in second edition, was in first edition. 3.5 got rid of it in favor of durability, which was a mathematical nightmare and admin overhead you didn't need. And then 5e just got rid of it completely, other than a couple of creatures which give you minuses to your AC or weapon damage, like certain oozes and stuff like that. But I like the cleanness of having an item saving throw. And so Untold Destiny has these. There are certain times where your gear will have to save versus a damage type to see if it gets damaged or destroyed. If it's damaged, it can be repaired, again, using the blacksmithing kits and stuff like that. If it's destroyed, that's it. It's gone. Cross it off your character sheet, find another one. If I've got a +1, so before I jump to that, It's like everything else. You roll a d20, you add the bonus here, you need 20 or higher. So the higher the number here, the better that item is at saving versus that damage. So bone versus acid is a +10, you need to roll 10 or higher. Ceramic versus acid is a 15, you only need to roll 5 or higher to pass its save. If you've got +1 item, you add another d20 to your save. So you're rolling 2d20, taking the highest. +2 is 3d20, +3 is your max 4d20. So the specialized gear is much hardier and more resistant to damage. So the likelihood is the item will not fail the save and it won't become damaged, it won't become destroyed. But I do love my item saving throws. And I think it's something that's been sorely missing from a lot of
I
games.
don't.
I know you don't, but gear
I
should be
don't.
breakable, especially
Yes,
if you
it
don't
should.
take care of it. Save versus cat. Yes, I need to add a save versus cat because we are constantly rolling that saving throw here.
Oh, we are.
Yes.
You luckily, it was just a bit earlier, and we didn't have the camera on. But Maxine decided to curl up in the dice tray. It was just a bit earlier. Now, I think so. So now with the time that we've got, I would
Yeah.
like to talk a little bit. You can get rid of your rules now, Dee,
I'm doing that.
because they make my eyes go funny. So what I'd like to do is talk about a few things. So I'm going to work backwards through these. So I'm going to start off with this one, which is I'm sure we've answered before, but we're going more all-in-one rules encyclopedia style with the first UD main core release. So the aim is we've got originally it was 4 books, wasn't it, Dean?
Yeah.
But I think we've decided we're going to go with 2 and then rapidly follow with 2 more main books. So that will give us the full 4 books. And it will be the Adventurer's Guide, which is everything that you need to run the game, and the Games Master's Grimoire, which will also give you the information that you need if you want to sort of change stuff from another system and give you some guidance there, and it gives you all of Dean's expert GM's tips. I'm not allowed to see it, so editing's going to be fun. I can edit it, but I'm not allowed to read it.
No.
So that's going to be quite interesting. So those are the 2 main books that we will be releasing when we get to that point, and we will circle back to that question in a minute. I like that one. I've got to show this one.
Yes.
Does a 12 save? No, not with our kids. So we've gone through that one. Now there was one I pinned up here. There it is. So, speaking of focus, let's talk about what I said on X about the release and what roadblocks are we hitting with things like our adventure. Yes, definitely want to talk about this. So, we had planned on releasing the adventure on Thursday. That was the plan. And we were actually tracking really close to it, but we've hit a couple of roadblocks. The first roadblock was we were both sick, and that took us out for over a week and a half, really, of where we couldn't. I was still managing to work, but it meant in the evenings I couldn't. And it also took Dean out a fair bit as well. So between the 2 of us, we lost a good couple of weeks. The adventure's written. All right. It's not as if we're having to wait to write the adventure. It's all written. We're doing the editing at the moment, or at least I'm doing the editing at the moment. As well as doing the editing, Dean is learning how to do the layouts. So he's learning InDesign at the moment so we can do our layouts. And we're also waiting a couple of our artists. We've had some illness with one of our artists, so he's a little bit delayed. And so what we decided, as opposed to trying to rush things like art, I'm sure that all of you who are artists, you don't want to rush them. And I don't want to get the editing wrong. I've never edited anything before in my life. I've written 8 billion reports for work, but I've never actually sat down and done editing. And I have to admit, I underestimated how long it was going to take me. And on top of that, I've had a major migration at work, which basically meant that 18 hours of work in this weekend, it's meant the last 3 weeks has been absolutely mental. And I've been working very long hours. So the time I would normally have before work and after work evaporated. Add in the illness, it's just been a nightmare.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
It was
My
horrible. We weren't full of like phlegm and stuff like that, but we were wiped out. Absolutely. I was sleeping through most of the day, and Vicky, I think it was one weekend you just slept through the weekend having
I
worked
did.
during the week. It was pretty awful. Yeah.
So those sort of things are slowing us down. So the way that we're approaching it, so the first thing coming out is still going to be the adventure, but instead of me going, we're going to hit the 20th of March or something like that, and put ourselves under an inordinate amount of pressure, and actually have a risk that if we hit something we haven't foreseen, I don't want to have to to delay again. It's just rubbish and I hate it. So what we're doing is we're just cracking on and finishing it. And what we will then do is when it's finished, we will do, because of course we're going to be giving this away for free. There are going to be some copies with, we will get some printouts, and we will get sort of online copies and printouts to certain YouTubers who we've been working with, because they've been supporting us, and they'll get early visibility. At that point, we will know that we've got 2 weeks in which we can start ramping up and telling you guys it's coming. Everybody will get access to it. You are not going to be charged for it. It will be available via the website if my website skills can get us there. Yay! Yeah, it's a quick start adventure. So we've got a full adventure module, but what we're doing for the complimentary piece is giving you all the minimal rules. We're giving you a whole. You should see the adventure Dean's put together. It's the first part of it, and you're going to get a whole dungeon to explore. You're going to get a whole town to explore. And we've got, and this is the first part of what will be a very long adventure. So hopefully you'll like it and you'll want the rest of it. And we reckon it's about 10 sessions worth of gameplay in it. I think it was when we went through it.
Depending on how much role play and how well you do, especially when you're learning the rules for the first time, it's anywhere between sort of eight to 10 sessions, 4-hour sessions. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a meaty first dungeon. But there's a nice sort of setup to the thing, nice bit of role play. Then you're in and out the dungeon until you get it cleared. It's a 3-level dungeon, quite a bit of content in there. And again, it depends. You could do it within 4 sessions if you're very focused and you understand the rules, or it could take a bit longer. The rules themselves, they are all the mechanics. So they're not cut down. They are the mechanics as they stand. And those mechanics come in at about 20 pages, including spell casting. We then have equipment. So you can purchase or create your own equipment depending on the characters you're playing. And in total, that's 37 pages so far, pre-edited. Once we've added artwork and stuff.
Don't talk about pages. It'll be, we've got artwork coming in.
Yeah,
there's going to be bits,
that's what I'm saying. It's going to probably be around about the 40 to 45
there's going to be
pages.
Maps. There's going to be maps.
And then you got the adventure. The adventures are separate to that. And then you got the GM's advice section, which is separate again. So there'll be 3 packs and then handouts, 4 packs. Yeah.
And don't forget your pre-generated characters.
Yeah. So you'll have 8 pre-generated characters, but soon after we will have condensed rules coming out for character creation. And they will talk you through. So you get used to the mechanics, you get used to what Untold Destiny is about, and then you'll get given this is how you create characters of those 8 classes, first level only. But you can then go through the character creation process, see the depth that there is there, see the wealth of choice you've got as a player when building a character, or if you prefer to roll a character, all the tables you've got to allow you just to roll a character, including your attributes in order all the way through to the end and choosing your class or rolling your class.
Yeah, I think it's good old Pareto's law that's actually tripped us up a bit. The last, oh, I keep doing this button. The last 20% taking 80% of the time.
Yeah.
We've actually played through the adventure, so we've play tested it. It's fun. Everything's got rhyme and reason. Because it's the first part of our longer adventure, it's actually got a thread. You've got the beginning of your thread that runs through it, which is quite nice. And I hope you all really like it. I'm absolutely gutted that we're not hitting next Thursday. I can't tell you how upset I was having to write that. Um, but we spent months and months on this adventure. Our artists have done some superb pieces of work. I am so pleased with it, and it looks phenomenal. But of course, we're also learning layout, and that's we've never had to print anything before. We've never had to lay anything out before. All of this for us is we're having to learn all new skills. We've had to, you know, and during this time, we've got this live stream up. We've got 2 games that we're running, which Dean obviously has to prep for.
Yeah.
So we've got all of that going on. Dean also goes on to Tittle. He also does Sci-Fi Snobs show, which he absolutely loves. Not all the time, but when he's on it, he absolutely loves it. Oh, yes.
So that's one of our pieces of artwork for the thing. That is a shard
Yes,
of
yeah.
Talos, one of the creatures that you could potentially find within the adventure.
So, we've got a lot of stuff going on, and I think we started to think that we didn't actually need to sleep. Mm,
Mm.
yes, we found we did need to sleep. So yeah, it's just unfortunately taken a bump, and I'm absolutely gutted about it.
Yeah, we got to do this right. We got to take you on a journey where you get to understand it. It may look daunting. You've seen snippets of the rules, and there's a lot in there. But once you understand the mechanics, the rest of it are just options. They're choices you
Yeah.
can make. They're additional things your character can do. So you take as much or as little as you want. Yes, spoiler, but I had to, because to be honest, I love all the artwork that has been done, but that's one of my favorites, and a fantastic encounter.
You
Really
did
good.
get really excited when I got that one in.
Oh yeah,
We've got some fantastic artwork. There's actually one artist's work I've shown you nothing of, and I've done it on purpose because she's actually on X, and she's been working really hard on it. And I want it to be a surprise. I'm really chuffed. All of the artists have done a superb job. But we've got a few more pieces that need to land.
yeah.
And yeah, Dean's learning in you see, I want to learn in design. I even bought myself a book, but I've not even had a chance to look at it. I ended up doing the website instead. So yeah, it's been a manic 2 months, isn't it?
Oh, it has. It has. And time just seems to, I don't know where the time goes,
Blinking.
but you blink and a week's gone by and you're looking at what you've done and what you've still got to do. And it's just, there's a lot, but it's this last 20%. And then once that's done, we actually are quite ahead of where we should be. And
Yeah.
it's about going out and advertising and just getting the word out there.
Yeah, and the one thing to take away from this is we're not just building the adventure, is the adventurer's guide is finished, right? We're just basically I've started editing, so I've just put that on hold whilst I finish the adventure. So we've got the adventurer's guide, the games master's grimoire is coming along nicely. I think you've almost finished that. So even our books are almost there. And again, we're just basically having to do artwork as well a bit at a time. We use our savings for artwork. So so basically what we do is as we put some money aside, then we sort of get some more art coming in. So for our main books, this is just taking some time. We've got should have some more time in Luke's diary very soon for some more art, and we're hoping to get some more from Jamie. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of artwork, but again, we're having to sort of drip feed it in so that we can still feed the cats.
Yeah. And there's just so much in these books. For example, 368 spells we've got, and I could put so much more in, but I've had to draw a line and go, no, that's it. That's for the start of this. So yes,
But there will be supplements.
there will definitely be supplements because there's so much more we can add. That's a difficult one because it comes down to printing costs. We knew 2 years ago what that was, but we'd have to revisit the printing costs again.
We're going to have to see how much the printing costs are now. I think Cam and Jeff said that they know some good printers in the US. The way that we want to print is, so for UK we've already got a printing supplier, because I want stitch bound. I don't want just glued. I'm sorry. Quality is the other
Yeah.
reason we're delayed. I'm a stickler for quality. I'm really sorry. It has to be right. So I do believe that we're going to be checking out some printers in the US so that for the books that we can get them out the way that we want to get them out. Put it like this, Dean and I have been arguing over the ribbons because I want ribbons. I want you to be able to put ribbons in your book so you can have your sections and you know where things are, because it's important. And I think, was it when I last got the quote from our printers, it was like £1.35 per ribbon or something like that. I can't remember.
It was, yeah.
But what we'll do is, once we've got all of the printing costs and everything together for the books, I will actually, as part of one of these, I'm going to take you through the costs that we've done for developing all of these books, because I think that would be a really interesting dive into the sort of life behind an indie. Is, if you have a look, I mean, we went to UK Games Expo. We can't go this year, but we went in 2024, didn't we? And I worked out the cost that we'd spent, and it was phenomenal.
Most of that was hotels though, and because
Yeah.
we had two friends helping us, so it was 3 rooms in a hotel for 4 days, and that just it was crippling. Yeah.
So between that, food and drink,
Yeah.
actually, you know, the NEC. So the UK Games Expo, for all you guys in the US, the UK Games Expo takes place in the NEC. Yes, I like those fake side tabs. Those fake side tabs are fantastic. I'm
Just
not
go
joking. The
and
NEC
then you're
would
there.
charge us for air if they could. And because we've got some fantastic screens that we use when we go to exhibitions and stuff, and we needed power. So next time we're bringing our own power, because it was £600 just to get one plug socket in the NEC, as well as the cost for the stand. It was like, yeah. So yeah, we can't go this year. We've decided to spend the money on the artwork for the adventure and to get some artwork towards the books, rather than actually go to the UK Games Expo. But hopefully, fingers crossed, we should be there next year.
Yeah. Right. Well, I think we are done, and I thank you, those of you who are still in the chat watching us.
Missed any questions. Are there any other questions?
Yes, and whilst
you
you're
would like to
you're
ask?
thinking, I will ask, if you're not already.
Oh yeah, the like and subscribe thing.
Yes.
Could you?
Yes.
We would love it if you would like and subscribe, because guess what? We're growing slowly. On X, I am 2 away from 500 followers.
You are.
Dean's still beating me.
Yes. And Cam, if you're still there, yes, Scout. I love the Scout.
Hardback. It's going to be full-sized hardback.
Yeah, we're talking each book being probably around about 400 pages.
So
So
hard. It's got to be
it's got
hardback.
to be quality. It's got to be hardback, stitch bound, because I don't want these
It's
things
too
falling
much info
apart.
for zine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of the way, and you'll see what I mean when we do. That's it. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you,
Yes.
Michael. I always get it wrong. One of the things I'd say is the amount of information. The game is straightforward to play, but you've got so many options. And if you're like me, I love making characters. And I will sit there. Dean will know. I'll go, yeah, I've got my character. And then 2 hours later, he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I decided I wanted to tweak. So I'm doing, and I will spend ages building a character that fits my vision. And a lot of the people that, and this is one of the reasons it's campaign focused, but you can't build in something that gives the character that level of depth without giving options for you to be able to do that. And we have got those options. We've got heritage, we've got your family, and we're going to do this when we do the character creation piece, and we can all do it together. And it's fantastic fun. And I would just sit there and create characters all day if I could. So, therefore, it's a lot of information. You don't need all of that information to play the game on day one, but if you want to keep building different characters and trying different things, you're going to need it. And that's the reason we're going for the hardback books, because you also want something that's going to last.
Mm.
I
And look
love having
wonderful
stuff on my
on your
shelf.
bookshelf. Yeah. Yeah.
It'll be
Definitely.
beautiful. It'll be quality.
Mm. Right. Well, thank you so much for your company again. And I really do appreciate it. We'll
I
be
do
having a look
too.
at where we are with what we need to discuss, but I think we're getting close to actually creating a character online for the next session, maybe.
So I'm going to ask people in the chat: is there so we've gone through skills. We haven't actually run through a combat with people. I think it would be interesting to do sort of, but we've got the live streams and stuff like that can do
Mm.
it. I'm wondering if there's anything you guys want to know. We're on X. I'll put out a post.
Yeah.
What would you like to know about Untold Destiny? And we'll put that together. And what we'll start doing is working out when we're going to do the character creation. Now, I do believe I've already roped in Paladin Steve because he can't get away from me. I'm going to hunt him down and he's going to play.
Yes. And yes, I'm quite taken with the Traveller character creation system. I love it. I love the fact that you can die during character creation. The only drawback to that is it not really forces you, but you could take the mindset that I'm going to keep creating a character, taking all the risks until one character survives because I come out the most powerful I can be. So you need someone who's running the game to almost say, look, if your character dies, you can't take any option that might include death on your next character. So they've got to really weigh up the choices. But I think that as a supplement, for creating an in-depth character. And one
He's
of the
got to
early,
finish what he's doing now
I
before he's
know,
allowed to go and write anything else.
one of the first versions I had of character creation included different age categories. And if you were creating a young character, you wouldn't have access to certain things. If you were creating an old character, you'd have access to multiple things. And we just kind of trimmed that back down to something a bit more simple, a bit more straightforward. But yes, I can definitely see a character creation side book, a small little supplement for people who want to do that. Yeah.
My view on this is you're going to have a good time whether you want to or
you
not.
will. Yes. We'll get you rolling dice. If you can get a camera on a dice tray, we'll get you rolling dice physically rather than roll 20. Because that's the only way you can really create a character. Yeah.
Yeah. There is just something about rolling dice when I don't like doing it on the screen. I just love the feel of the dice. I'm really sorry, guys. Yes, we did. We did look at it originally,
Yeah,
but
you've got
yeah,
age-based. So there are your standard categories of age from young,
yeah,
adult, middle-aged, old age, and I think we got venerable, which is you're
yes,
about
we
to
have.
die. And yes, your attributes do adjust as you get older. You don't get the positives on like better intelligence, better wisdom, stuff like that. It's your physical attributes start to get worse and worse. So you create a character, and I've had this where I think Brass character, he went, "Oh, I'll be 40 odd as a dwarf. I know as a human, sorry, 40 odd as a human." And I made a note, look, in a couple of years, you're hitting middle age. You're going to start losing strength and dexterity. And he was like, oh, well, how long do and I explained, you got to walk everywhere. Journeys take time. A year could pass before you gain a level within the game, you know. And he was like, "Oh right, oh okay, I'll be younger," because age is a big factor, and I wanted it to be a driver. I wanted you to actually be thinking, yes, I when I create a character, I should really be early 20s. Um, but that's why I also wanted rules for you creating an older character to have more experience at the start of the game. Not levels, but just more skills and more experience around that. So potentially a couple of backgrounds that you could have. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Michael. You can't trust dice.
No, you can't. There's something weird about them. I don't like them.
Yeah. I want my dice. I want to feel my dice. I want to hear them as they hit that table. I want dice.
Yes. Oh, look, 20. Nice.
It's like, oh, I've got a crit.
Yeah. There's something about real dice rolling, and it's the one thing
It's
we've
the
gone
noise.
fully online, and I miss people round the table. Oh, sorry, I did not mean to put that one back up. Let's take that
It
down.
is good.
There we go. I miss people around the table. I miss physically rolling dice. Roll 20 is okay for when you've got no other option, but it is slower and it stifles role playing slightly. And
Can't see
I
people.
will be honest, as running a game, it takes a lot out of me on roll 20 compared to sat at a table. But that's just, yeah. I'd rather have roll 20 than nothing at all. Because we're old. Oh, geez. To be fair, yes. Our sessions went from during our prime, every Sunday, people turned up at 10 o'clock. People didn't leave till about 8 o'clock that night. And then it became, oh, I'll turn up at 11 and we'll finish at 6. And then it became, okay, we'll do this fortnightly.
Yeah. Yeah, it does make the difference. I do find that I do miss just being round a table. That was one of the big things I loved about Business Unusual, because we hired the games table, is that we could actually play in person, and that was fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's why I really hope at some stage we get over to the US for some of the cons. It's not going to be, at least if we're going to have to save.
Yeah, we're going to have to sell a lot of books before we we can afford to go over to the US. But I'm sure that will happen. I'm sure we'll be across there, and I look forward to attending one of the big cons and meeting a load of you in person, because I think that would be amazing.
Because I work for a US company, I keep thinking, I wonder if there's a way I could get them to send me over just when there's a con on, so either side of a con or something.
Now, if we could manage that,
yeah, that'd be good.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I doubt it, but hey.
Yes. Right. Anyway,
I'll talk until the morning, and I got work.
Thank you so much. Please like, share, subscribe. It really does help us. It helps us also with those pesky algorithms that are constantly working against us. And
we will do, Paladin Steve. We will do.
Virginia, is that near DC? Is that am I thinking the right place?
We're really going to show up our lack of knowledge of the US geography now.
No, because remember when we went to DC and I was visiting that software house, in Virginia, I believe it was. So I'm just seeing if it was, because that was beautiful, beautiful country there, just outside DC.
So you deserted me. I just had to go shopping.
You did. And then you found
Shit.
out America doesn't wake up first thing in the morning, unlike Britain, and you were wandering around the Pentagon Mall for how long before stuff opened.
You know, so it was great.
I love DC. I loved going there, and you know, yeah, a few hours, brilliant.
There you go.
Yeah,
So,
I met
yes.
some lovely people when I went there. It was only a bit of a week and a weekend, but we had a blast. It was great.
It was a long time ago now.
That was about 2005, I think, around about there. Right. Anyway, thank you so much.
We'll keep talking for hours.
Yes, we will. We will see you all next week, hopefully. And in the
hopefully
meantime,
see some of you on Tittle. That would be great for you to come to Tittle, because not this week.
No,
this week.
Jack is. Yep. I think they're expecting any minute.
Yeah, any minute now. Any minute now. So
yes.
Yeah. So I don't think there will be this week, but we'll wait and see what happens. And what have we got next?
We've got no indie spotlight.
Sunday.
So no, nothing on Sunday. So the next will be
I'm organising the next.
Next
we
Tuesday.
have gotten in. Yeah, I'm going to get a filler indie game spotlight up and running, because I got loads of people. But yes, because we thought we had another one lined up that fell through, so I got to rearrange another one now.
But we'll have one for next week. Anyway, thank you so much. I hope you all have a good night.
Yeah, Tittle is up in the air at the moment.
Yeah, it is. It is. So yeah.
Vic soon is really close.
Yes.
Very exciting.
So as I said, any minute, it could be any moment. So, but fingers crossed for Jack and Vic soon. Right. Anyway, thank you so much. And I hope you all have a good night and good rest of the week. Take care.
Press a button now, don't I?
It's going to be the thanks for watching one. Can you see it? And you wave and then press the button.
Bye.
Bye.